Let me say a few things about what we hope to come out of this conversation today. First of all, that the environment is our life, which means that you cannot enjoy the right to life in an environment that is killing you. And the Nigerian environment is in a very bad shape. We need to know what our political leaders think and what plans they have to make this nation livable. I'm happy that the majority of the people in this hall are young ones. This is about your future. You have to ensure that those you elect, those you vote for, have the future in mind. That means having you in mind. The latest floods in Nigeria killed over 630 people. I believe you are aware of that. It displaced millions of Nigerians. It's not the first time we're having a deadly flood. Now we are told that the floods are coming again. How prepared are our leaders to ensure that our people will not be swept away by the next flood? Again, let me thank the University of Abuja for making this possible. But I will fail my duty by not mentioning that right now, in April 2020, there was an oil well blow up off the coast of Ondo State. It's been on fire till now as we speak. The fire is still burning. 2.5 years after, nobody said anything about it. Sometimes you mention in the media, but we'd like to know if our leaders, incoming leaders, will ensure that things like that are arrested so that our people can live in peace. We cannot play politics with the environment, but the environment contains the webs of life.
An issue that is very, very central, not only to the well-being of Nigerians, but to the survival of Nigerians, the environment, the greening of Nigeria. It's a very good opportunity for me and for the good students of this great university to listen to you and to internalize all your ideas, your plans, your strategies, and your will-be policies on greening our environment.
Now we move into the academic, intellectual aspect of this engagement. Students, lecturers are the ones who drive the intellectual future of any country. When you talk about the environment in Nigeria, most people think it's environmental sanitation. Most people think that when you talk about the environment, they are talking about how to clean your house or grow certain kind of food. They don't understand that environment has a nexus with existence completely. Turkey had a major earthquake that has killed over 3,000 people. Turkey. Nigeria this year has had a major flood that has killed over 600 people. Although part of the problem of that flood has to do with the responsibility of our leaders. Our lifestyles, if properly done, cannot harm environment. Why? If you grew up in the olden days, not even olden days, every village has a sacred forest that you cannot go into. They are not trying to scare kids. It's their own way of protecting their own environment. Why is it that my grandmother lived for 107 years? She just died this year. Yes, because she was eating fresh food. She's not eating the junk all of us are eating today, like our environmental guru, Nimo Bassey, stated earlier when he was speaking. A lot of us don't even know what we are eating. The chicken that you are eating, you don't know where it came from. Who made it? The akara you are eating, you don't know what it's fried with. But most importantly, our environment in the Niger Delta region has become a source of cost to this country. And that's why I cannot do without mentioning how most of us came into understanding the environment. It was Ken Saro-Wiwa who stood up in Ogoniland and stood up not only to our Nigerian leaders, but the international oil companies and challenged them that they are destroying the Niger Delta region.
Greatest Nigerian students, I thank you for the honor of having me in your midst today. We must protect our way of life. We must protect our communities. We must ensure that what we do with a modern means of living does not destroy our environment. We use plastic cups now. We use sachet water. We dump them on the streets, in our gutters, in our streams. They affect aqua life. Our government is more interested in mining oil, gold, and other natural resources than checking to see how their actions impact you and I. What will I do if I were the president of Nigeria? I will fund more research to see how science does really affect us. I don't want to rely on research from other nations who might have commercial inclinations as to why they are doing what they are doing. I want my scientists. We have some of the best scientists in Nigeria here. I want to see their reports. I want to know what they're saying, especially as it affects us locally. 3 years ago, we had tremors in the city of Abuja for the first time. As we speak today, there's no official reports, reason why we had those tremors in Abuja. If we had those tremors in Abuja, who says Abuja cannot be Turkey tomorrow? That's why we need our scientists to do more research.
Pesticides, which have been banned in Europe long time ago, are still being applied in Nigeria today, in Africa. Those of you who are friends in Faculty of Agriculture, go and check it. In fact, by the time I finished my PhD, the sensitivity environment started coming in. So much so that when you go to some of these major food stores, like Tesco, like Sainsbury's, you may end up either taking sites where they have organic products and non-organic products. What means is that vegetables that are produced through natural, traditional agriculture, not by chemicals. The one by chemicals are even cheaper. So what we are saying here is that there is an evolution on the debate about the environment. Before we come to the fundamentals of how we manage our water, manage our cities, manage our other environment, fundamentally over the years we have left the journey, so we are now restarting. But it's not too late. It is now awakening time for us to do research like he is saying. But we in NMPP have done the research. We have gone further on when Rabi Musa Mukoso is sworn, it's good to go. He knows how to deal with these environmental factors because he was a governor in Kano State, one of the largest states in Nigeria, with 44 local government, the highest number of local government, and he did everything to contain the kind of issues, the problems that confront our country.
Thank you for the opportunity. We cannot be discussing the environment as a second person. We are part of the environment. The environment includes us. We ourselves, we take our body sample, everything, we're part of the environment. So what you find in any tissue in my hair is essentially what we find inside the sun. So we are the environment ourselves. So we're not doing the environment a favor when you talk about the environment. We are part of the environment. The Social Democratic Party is the only political party that is running on the basis of Chapter 2 of the Constitution. Our manifesto deals with the environment from the foundation laid in Chapter 2 of the Constitution. And I'm happy that Mr. Bassey was reading from Section 20 of the Constitution, which is part of Chapter 2, which deal with the primacy of the environment and what we do about it. Environmental science. We must be at par with the best of the best in the world regarding environmental science. Because the knowledge of your environment, self-education is important for you to be a global citizen. The president, I will have to take an oath that I will observe, enforce, and comply with Chapter 2 of the Constitution. Every president, including the one who is there now, take that office or go to office. Even Shagari took it. Having taken that oath of office, I can guarantee to Nigerians that I will be the president that will enforce Chapter 2 strictly. And my party is already doing so now.
Thank you. I just follow up on your previous.
Many of the problems you see here they're not even environmental problems per se. They are problems of failure of government. First, if you look at the amount of money we need to refloat the chart, it is not up to 10% of what EFCC announces all the time that has been stolen from Nigerian government. So Nigeria is not a country that will need to call on the world to come and save it and its environment, because we have enough resources within the country to do so. So when you deal with poverty across West Africa, the impact on the environment will be minimal. That many of these areas have solutions already. If you go to a BU area or BUK, you will see enough, or because of the people, you will see enough solutions in people's PhD and master's thesis dealing with how to recover our environment.
One of the things we faced this year was floods all over the country. And we have dams. This can be managed, this can be organized, this can be utilized. There are many dams I know in this country that are not being utilized for our consumption of water, or for irrigation, or for hydroelectricity. They are there like decorations. Every rainy season, they burst out, and there is what we saw this year. NNPP government will manage this issue.
Where the world is going today, people are looking at organic produce. So you see, the richest company in the world today is Louis Vuitton. Why are they rich? They are going for the high-end markets, and they are the richest company in the world. If you enter any grocery store overseas, the most expensive produce there is organic produce. That is produce that has not been touched. So all over the world, from time immemorial, there's always a competition for scarce resources. And the child raising happens to be one of those scarce resources. What will I do as president of Nigeria? I will secure our borders. Our borders will be secure. It will be a no-go area. If you want to come into Nigeria, you come into Nigeria legally. If you want to reside in Nigeria, you reside in Nigeria peaceably. What do I do about the scarce resource there? Again, it's about science. As president of Nigeria, I will ensure that ranching is practiced. All those who do open grazing, when they find that there's no longer any economy supporting the open grazing, that they cannot sell their cattle because it's not ready in a ranch, they will stop it.
Why the Chad Basin lost 90% of its water volume? It was a climate crisis that we didn't respond to. We are talking about flooding of Nigeria today from, Lado Dam in Cameroon. As our friend at the SDP said, there is no reason why we should not be directing the excess water from Lado Dam to the Chad Lake, or Lake Chad, as you call it. The reason why you have herdsmen going down south was because their original source of water, the Lake Chad, dried up. The Lake Chad is not supporting Nigeria alone, it's supporting about 4 countries. And when these people lost their means of livelihood, they had to find water somewhere. What I will do as president of Nigeria is to establish ranches. 100 private jets that came to Paris. And these are the major pollutants of the environment. If you want to fix the environment, you must deal with the people who cause the environmental problem. The international oil companies, for instance. They are the ones who sit on the high table discussing the environment. They are the ones who pollute the environment. They are also the ones who call people to conferences to come address the environmental problem. That is why they look down on us, because we just parrot most of the time what they have handed down to us in terms of what they say is our environmental problem. Without an environmental justice system internationally that punishes polluters of the environment, you cannot have environmental justice that is being romanticized at these conferences.
I don't know how many people noticed what happened in Port Harcourt and Bayelsa last year, the last 2 years, when they had so much soot and smog in the air and people could not breathe properly. This is one of the problems that arose from the gas flaring that has been going on there for decades. What will I do? Very simple. I will ensure that every oil company there that is still to gas flaring pays a penalty sufficient to ensure that we stop gas flaring immediately.
One of the tragedy of our country is that we don't manage our resources and our assets. And that's what is happening with the oil issue and the agricultural issue, the livestock issue we are talking about. We don't manage our resources. There are many countries in the world that do not have what we have today. And they are dreaming of getting some of the things that we have to make them great. They can't. So I think, already my colleagues have mentioned it, I think it's a very important position that any government coming in this year must work alongside side by side with the communities and the IOCs so that we deal with this environmental degradation in the oil producing areas.
These international corporations don't recognize countries. Anywhere there is resource, they go there. If you look at many of these people running around, they are calling frontliners. They are sponsored by the same oil companies, the same international system. They are the same people. There was a time in this country when people claimed that we owe them money, brought their own official to come and run our Ministry of Finance and collected their own money. So before we can talk about confronting anything on the international scene, you must first, for the first time now, forget all the things going on with the media and elect for yourself an autonomous government arising from the people of Nigeria that has a mandate from Nigeria, and that's what the SDP will give you.
Of any locally manufactured, equipment of this same renewable energy we are talking about. Are you people still thinking about bringing them from Europe and America to be, domiciled in Nigerian environment? Or you are talking about locally manufactured energy that we are talking about?
The Nigerian oil travels the world with far greater ease than Nigerians. How do you intend to make the Nigerian passport run high the world, thereby making it easy for Nigerians to explore the world?
By the time you walk into that presidency, and with the amount of money, amount of control that the president has on our resources, the governors have on our resources, how would you use this money to make sure that Nigeria, that poverty in Nigeria is cleared, so that it will be possible to green Nigeria?
They have also proposed restructuring, which is essentially going to hand over resources to communities that host them. So if you hand over these, do you not think that this is a contradiction? If you hand over resources to people who hold them, which would essentially probably be another governor from another party or another council chairman, how do you hold them to, without a legal framework or a National Assembly backing, to still regulate the affairs that you have put under, another person's authority?
Once we agree in the transition from fossil fuel to greener energy, what are we going to do if we emerge as president to ensure that communities and individuals that will be impacted adversely by oil pollution by national oil companies over the years get justice before this transition is taken carried out?
I'm actually from the Niger Delta region by way of Ondo State. So some of these issues we are discussing have been part of my entire life. When I was a young kid, there was also gas flaring in Nigeria where my father was a teacher. When I asked my father what that light was, he told me it was a northern star. I was when I grew up, some 25 years later, that Toronto Douglas, who is late now, told me about the fact that these are gas flares all over the Niger Delta region. There is a nexus between poverty and where I come from, the Niger Delta region of Nigeria. I started as a fisherman in Nigeria at the age of 9. Then there was fish. By the time I became 51 years old, most of those fishes we used to fish have become extinct. And I want to warn us as human beings that we are not the only people on earth, and a lot of careless animals have become extinct. So nothing stops the environment one day, nothing stops the earth one day from wiping out humanity as we are. If we keep messing with the environment, there's nothing special about us other than being lousy. We are not different from the fishes in the ocean that have disappeared, or plants that I used to know, or the dinosaurs.
Students, take your place in the community. Speak up, rise up, defy a system that's not working. I feel sorry for you guys. 7% will graduate, no job, will walk the street for years, can't do anything, you'll be abused by your country, by a system, by people. Research institutes. Our universities must start researching how we can make cleaner energy from our crude oil. What my government will do will ensure that we enforce, will ensure that we mitigate, will ensure that we protect those communities, that foreign companies, foreign IOCs will not come and take advantage of our people again. I keep on saying this, go to Saudi, go to Oman, go to Dubai, go to Qatar, go to all these places and see how people who have oil in their backyard, see how those people live. Juxtapose that against our people here, the poorest people. It's a crime.
No, the mistake we are going to make is that you don't know even our enemies. You don't know our enemies. And if you don't know our enemies, then we have a problem. The other person who are here, and some of our academic colleagues who are here, had him right, that the fundamental way of addressing poverty is provide education. The government will not emphasize on creating more universities in the first instance, in the first 4 years. Rather, it will emphasize on expanding facilities, improving welfare of staff, improving conditions of academics. People who benefited from the system have gone to the top. Now they are breaking the ladder so that nobody goes up there. And we are saying that that ladder must be rebuilt and people must climb up so that they can also prosper.
Starting with poverty. Poverty in Nigeria is not an accident. Poverty is the program of the government. When I hear statistics about 133 million Nigerians being poor, I ask myself, where are the others not poor as well? Because that's a miracle. Because if a person has been robbed morning, day and night for 60 years, and you come and say they are poor after 60 years of robbery, am I supposed to be surprised? I'm not supposed to be surprised. The issue of whether we're going to stop production, no. Even agriculture can pollute the environment too, fertilizer and all sorts of things like that. What we are saying is that the way oil has been exploited in Nigeria that has destroyed the environment is not the only way to do it. And I know that environmental management is very important. If you are to fly to anywhere and you are met with 2 pilots and they say this is a pilot that has never flown a plane before, just fresh from flying school. This is another pilot that have flown 100 times, crashed 99 times, killed 2,000 passengers, but he's still alive. Will you follow him? All the protests in the world, all the wars in the world, majority of it is for people to have the right to choose their leadership. But it's based on 3 conditions. 1, that you understand your country very well and the issues at stake. 2, that you have an independent mind and you want a good future for yourself. 3, that you are not influenced by other consideration than the love of your country. I can congratulate everyone who has a PVC.
First, NNPP has a foreign policy. And one of the cornerstones of this foreign policy is to defend Nigeria, the integrity of our country, and also the prestige and life of every citizen of Nigeria, wherever he or she is. It's not like before we allow our citizens to be, harassed, intimidated, humiliated, and even killed. To do a lot of reorientation and reorganization and remobilization of Nigeria will not defend their country. Because one thing everybody agrees that Nigeria, attention about Nigeria, you don't know how Nigeria feel about a country, for example, that plays football. You see everybody forgets about everything. It's now about Nigeria now. But after football, now we are Hausa, we are Fulani, we are Igbo, we are Yoruba. The peace is important, you must have your PVC. After having PVC, make sure that you go on the day of election, go and vote.
I don't know about you. I heard Prof talk about the real suffering lecturers are going through, not talk of students who are suffering in the country and not working for anyone. Our country is not working because for a long time we stopped interrogating, we stopped asking questions, we stopped standing up for ourselves. So we interrogate nothing, just like when they said we created doctors, we employed doctors, we sent people to school, nurses and everything. And nobody will ask how many hospitals we have in Kano State, how many airlines we have in Kano State, how many good roads we have in Kano State. We want to interrogate those things, but we take a book plan and silver. Anybody tell you that if you vote for new ideas, fresh people, that you are wasting your vote? Let me tell you what democracy implies. Democracy implies that you should vote for who you believe can do the job, not who can win. It's not about who can win, it's who can do the job. That's what you must do when you go into the next election. Don't let anybody deceive you.
Don't be ashamed that you are about to take the most important role in your life. And it starts with this election. Let all the elders apologize and leave the political space for us. What is it going to be to young people? Why can't we be allowed to run our people to make our mistakes? Let's make it and deal with it. They should just quit the stage. I don't have any problem with old people, but I have problem with old ideas. Alright? The kind of ideas that have put Nigeria where it is today. And I want to say one last thing to young people, and this is to support what Professor President Adewale has said. Don't come and tell me after the 25th and you make your mistakes that you had no opportunity to have chosen a better candidate in this election.